Well, good afternoon. It's 4 o'clock. That means it is time for our favorite segment. You know it, you love it. It's Wet Your Whistle Wednesday. Oh, it's time to pop a bottle of wine. There's my friend, Chuck Gillentine from Defiance Ridge
Monica,
Vineyards. How are you, my friend?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I am good. So, Chuck
Time
said,
to wet my whistle.
huh?
It's time to wet my whistle.
It is time to wet our whistle. You probably had a hard day of work already.
Oh no, I went to the Eagles concert last night.
What?
Yeah, it was wonderful. It's so much fun. Those guys are amazing.
Where was it held?
Enterprise Center. It
Oh.
was full. It was packed.
So
Great.
I was telling Chuck when we were just getting ready to come on that years ago, my friend Michelle and I, that a lot of you know, we went to an Eagles tribute band at I think it was at the Family Arena in St. Charles. And it was just a tribute band, but they were really, really good. And my friends and I were talking, and this lady came up to me and was like, "Oh my gosh, I love watching you on TV." And so we were talking, and the people behind us shushed us. And Michelle looked at him like, "You do know this isn't the real band, right?" And I was like, "Hey, they're still enjoying it."
Well, it was a real band last night. I've seen them 3 times in the last 3 years.
Really?
Yeah, they're just amazing. Just the music I grew up with. It was
Yep.
fun. A lot of
So did you dance?
Oh, you couldn't dance. I
No?
mean, no, there was no room to do anything. There were so many people there, and
I'm
uh,
happy to hear
Bill
that.
Walsh put on a show, and which he always does. But it's just incredible having that type of music in town, and they were very appreciative of the area. They had to be 15,000 people there, so
Really? That's amazing. I love the fact that they still have that kind of a draw.
oh, I
What's
mean,
your
the tickets weren't cheap. It's
what's your favorite Eagles song?
Oh, it's got to be Hotel California just
Yep.
because that was my college days. But I just love all their songs. They just make music that you can enjoy.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
love that. So again, Chuck went to the Eagles concert last night, so he's kind of chilling and ready to have some wine. So if you're new to Wet Your Whistle Wednesday, we have brought it back, and Chuck is our sponsor from Defiance Ridge Vineyards. We'll talk a little bit about the vineyards. We had so many people last week that were saying, "Wow, that place is beautiful. I want to get out there." We want you to. We want you to see it. And there's some events coming up that we'll talk about, and one in particular that the Real Monica Adams team will be a part of, and that will be coming up around the 4th of July. So we'll get into all of that here shortly. But before we do so, the wine that we are going to taste today is the Defiance Ridge Vineyards. This is actually a 2020 Cabernet Sauvignon. It is Dry Creek Valley, Sonoma County. So we are going to do a little tasting with this. And I asked Chuck if any of you are going to do, maybe if you have a bottle at home, that would be great. If not, go ahead and open your favorite beverage and just join in with us. If you have any questions for Chuck or any comments, let us know. But I've got some notes on it. And then I asked Chuck what would be good with it, because that's the thing that I'm always really wowed by is you and then chefs, as far as how you know what to pair. So after this, after we get done with our tasting, I'm going to go out and I'm going to grill because the weather's gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
You said it would be good with like some game meats. Like what would be your favorites to pair with this?
Most beef works with it. Any little fat. This one is a big. They call it a fruit bomb, but it's much more than that. It's a beautiful wine. It pairs well with mushrooms, big mushroom portobellos, steak, obviously, braised meats, sauces. It's a great drinking wine.
So I got a little Wagyu beef. That's what I'm going to grill.
Oh my, there you go.
Yeah. I,
You'll love it with that.
I think that'll be good. So Chuck was mentioning that for those of you that like more fruit forward, that's what it would be, which lights me up. He asked me if I tasted it yet, and I said no. I've always got to be surprised. So is yours poured already?
Oh, I've got it right here.
Oh, look, and he's all ready to go. So here's the question that we've asked in the past. Knowing when you need to open a bottle at a certain time before you have guests over, if you need to decant it, if you need to aerate it, etc. You tell us about this 2020, and you tell me all those answers.
Well, decanting this wine is important, but it's very drinkable after you open it. It's not a very tannic wine. It's from an area that makes a lot of Zinfandel, which is used to making a lot of fruity wines. So, decanting is important if, 30, 45 minutes on something like this, or just opening it a couple hours before you drink it. You get fruit right off the nose, a black currant and plum, big ripe
Mhm.
plums, and
Mm.
a little chocolate. I think even get a little hint of mint after a while in it, just a hint on the end.
So ideally, I should have opened this before by 10, 15 minutes ago,
I
or
a newer wine like this, I would
Mhm.
always open, especially a big red, a couple hours before, and just let it sit there. It's going to breathe through the bottle automatically.
But let's do this, Chuck, because for a lot of people that are just starting to introduce themselves to wine, if they didn't do that and they're like, "Oh wow, somebody showed up at your front door," and you're like, "Oh, come on in, neighbor, let's have some wine." If they open it up, what are they going to experience? What because that's going to be me. I opened it just about 10, 15 minutes ago.
Well, you're going to get fruit right away.
Mhm.
I mean, and it's going to evolve, and it's going to pick up these other characteristics as it sits there. But as I think I said last week, the most important thing with these great wines is to have a great glass to pour it in, and I can't emphasize that enough. It makes such a difference.
Okay, let's talk about that because there are so many people, Chuck. And let me reintroduce Chuck Gillentine, the owner of Defiance Ridge Vineyards, and we're going to tell you where they're located, how to get there, how to get these great wines, etc. But there's a lot of people that think, "Oh, whatever, that doesn't matter. It's just a way for people to sell a good glass." Tell them more about why it has to be in a good way. Where are you drinking out of a Riedel also?
I am drinking out of Riedel.
Oh,
Get a
nice.
Riedel glass and get a regular glass. Pour the wine side by side, and you'll see the difference. You'll taste the difference. It's amazing.
Why does it change so much?
Well, it's crystal. The thinner the glass, the better it's going to breathe, and that's why these guys make these expensive wine glasses that sell for $50, $60 a piece.
It's also the shape of them. Like, so if I put this wine, and actually I could probably have my hubby's in the other room. I could have him bring me one that's more like a bigger bowl.
Well,
Um,
that's a Burgundy glass for
yes. So
Chardonnay or Pinot Noir.
we have well, I'll tell you what, I love the look of a Pinot Noir glass, but
Oh,
I'm
they're
not a
beautiful.
huge Pinot Noir drinker, but I always want to pour. So if I poured my Cabernet in a Pinot Noir glass, what would happen?
Uh, if you're very technical, you could tell it right off the bat. You're not. I mean, in that Burgundy glass, a lot of restaurants use Burgundy glasses, and they have the bigger bowl, and it just the more air that hits it is just going to express it quicker. And that's what they make several different styles and different sizes for. You got a white wine glass, you got a red wine glass, you got a Burgundy glass, you got a champagne glass, you got it all. There's a Norton glass. There's
Oh, that
so
I
many.
didn't know. Is it
Oh
bigger
yeah,
or smaller than this?
it's smaller. Actually, it's got a little smaller rim.
Huh. So I just brought it out, by the way, everybody. It looks like we need to clean this glass. This is the
Pretty
Pinot
cool.
Noir one. Yes. So
Is that a does it have a rim that flips out a little bit,
so it's
or
like
it's straight? Okay, it's just okay. It's Pinot glass. Okay.
yeah. So just a straight Pinot. I will pour a little bit in that, and I'll tell you what I'm tasting a little bit different. So again, it's the 2020 Defiance Ridge Vineyards Cabernet Sauvignon. So tell us a little bit about this, besides the nose on it, which yes, I haven't tasted it yet, but it seems like it's calming down in how much I definitely felt the fruit forward.
Well, this wine is made by a winery in Sonoma. It's from Dry Creek, was just northwest of Sonoma. It's a boutique winery. They don't produce a whole lot. They probably make 13 or 14 different reds, but they only make a small amount of each one. So they concentrate on very concentrated fruit, and therefore they're when they pick, uh, their yield per acre or is small. They're really wanting to get an expensive, nice glass of wine.
Okay. So let's go ahead and taste it, and I'm going to show you on the screen. This is the wine that we're drinking. All right, here we go. Oh, wow, you're right. So Chuck had mentioned that it will probably remind me a little bit of Cayman's. Gosh, this is really, really good.
It's
So what
fruit. It's fruit forward like Camus is.
It is, and that's really, I am a fan of fruit forward cabs. I will do bigger ones, but it depends. I personally like, and this is just me, everybody's got to find their own palate. I enjoy finding a bottle of wine that you can open up, and you don't necessarily have to have food with it. I do have a tiny little board that I made for myself to do a little tasting while we're doing this. But I like to open a bottle of wine that you can have, and it can just be a nice drinking wine without having to have food with it. But you obviously, have these wonderful dinners that you have out there. So you have to have all different levels. And introduce people to why they can have a bottle of wine that might just be a good opener, right? And then not have to be, but I think is better to be paired with food.
Uh, I think it's much better to be paired with food. Uh, I mean, that's the way I like to do it. And even though this wine, it's a good opener. I mean, it's something that you can drink and enjoy it because it's that good.
Yeah.
Um, it doesn't have a lot of acid in it, but it's not fat as far as flabby. It's very well balanced.
It is. And I mean, I'll agree. So as far as I know, for those of you that have been watching over the last few months, you're asking my opinions on different things. I love this. This absolutely would be something that I could sit there and open up a conversation with someone and have a glass and then say, oh, hey, let's have some food. Or I'm wondering if I think it's tasting so good, Chuck, because I did have a quick little piece of cheese and meat before we went on. So maybe it's pairing.
Yeah, but those hard cheeses usually work well, and any kind of charcuterie. I had some of that last night for dinner before the concert, and great wines are great with that.
They are. Do you have anything there for yourself to eat? Or
No, I know I'm on the wagon to tonight.
Oh, I'm on the wagon. Okay, so I'm gonna try. This has a little chipotle in it, a little
Oh,
a little bit of spice. But
well,
you
the
were
sweetness in
mentioning,
this wine should work well with that.
that's what I was thinking. If it's fruit forward, we talked about that last week. If we've got like big fruit bomb, that little spice would be good with it.
Yep,
But besides, so let's say somebody's not a big meat eater. You mentioned more of a meaty grilled portobello mushroom, the thickness of it, right?
yep. I mean, pasta also. Some nice red pasta would work with it. It's uh, this winery is based. They're Italian style wines. They make a ton of Italian wines, and so they're used to making wines that their Cabernet would work with pasta.
Okay, so you have all different styles, all different price points, etc. at Defiance Ridge. For those that haven't been yet, and I'm looking at people signing on saying, good afternoon, let's wet our whistle. Good afternoon. Somebody just said, I will be there. Sean, I will be there next Sunday to watch Garden Party Band.
He and a lot of people, hopefully. Garden Party's great. They're fun. They're a fun band to watch, and
What kind of
Gene
music?
has they play a lot of fun music. It's just um, we've been working with them for years,
What
and
kind of music do they play?
the 70s, 80s. They'll throw a few Eagles songs in, and I think Gene he's got a good friend that's in the Eagles band, one of the back drummers or something. No, they're a wonderful group to come out, and people dance and they have fun.
I love it. So Garden Party Band again next Sunday, Sean says. Good afternoon. We've got somebody signed on from the Philippines. Love it. Pamela, good afternoon to you as well. So we're trying this 2020. So if they want to come in and enjoy the Garden Party Band or just come in and have a nice lunch or, just hanging with friends and they want to pick this particular bottle up since we're featuring it today, how much would this one cost?
This is our high end wine, so it's a $60 bottle wine,
It
and
tastes like it though.
well, it tastes it.
Yes.
I mean, and this on the West Coast, this would probably be $100 bottle wine.
Absolutely. That's what it tastes like to me. Because you're saying it tastes like Camus, and I would say 100%. It has all those different characteristics of it. Again, I haven't even touched the food, and I may not because that's how good I think this is. If someone's coming there, and this is what I always tell people I recommend, because they'll think, well, okay, you guys featured this, but I don't know if it's necessarily my palate or my kind of wine. Do you recommend they come in and do a tasting before they ever order?
It's the best thing to do. I mean, we've got experienced people here that can do that and help them through the tasting. We do quite a few a year. I mean, I think last year we probably did close to 30,000 tastings. So,
Wow.
you get 5 pours for $8, and on the reserve side, there's an upcharge. but it will help you find what you want, and that's what tasting room's for.
Yep, well worth it. And this is a little look outside, by the way, with this gorgeous weather. I mean, we're talking about 70s coming up for you on Friday, the mid 60s tomorrow, maybe a little rain tomorrow, but you can't. I mean, you cannot be complaining about this. That's what the outside looks like when they have the incredible bands. We were talking last week, Chuck, about all the different awards that you have won. What are you the most proud of since you took over and made this Defiance Ridge? Because some people might recognize the property. It used to be Wine Country Gardens, and then Chuck took it over and changed it over to Defiance Ridge Vineyards. So tell them when that changeover happened. How long ago was that?
It happened in 2017.
Wow,
Uh,
already.
we
Wow.
Yeah, we started. We made wine in 18 was our first year. Um, as far as my most proud wine that we make, we do great with our vignoles, our white wines. Personally, I love our rosé because I named it after my mom,
Oh,
um,
I didn't know that.
and it wins a gold medal every year. 1 year, 2 years ago, won the best rosé in the state, and last year it was in the final two. But it's
Congrats.
Shemerson Rosé, and we named it Bobby Sue. She loved roses. She couldn't drink a glass of wine because she couldn't. 2 sips, she'd be under the wind. But she was a wonderful lady, and uh, it's picture on the bottle is of her back in when I think she was 17.
Very cool. That's the thing, the passion we mentioned before, the passion that goes into just one bottle of wine, but there's so many levels. And that's why I recommend that people go and do tours. If you offer a tour, do the tastings so that it's running the gamut of it. If they do a tasting, how many are they getting? What's the cost of it? I know you said there was an upcharge for the reserves.
You get 5 tastes for $8, and there's an upcharge if you want to taste one of the reserve wines. And
And
I highly suggest that if you want to do a tour,
mhm.
Tom Murphy, our winemaker, is great at doing it. He did a couple this week. People love him. He's very passionate in what he does, and um, it's just a fun experience.
And I want to stress, because somebody did ask last week, it's not just wines. If you're not a wine drinker or you've never been introduced and you want to come in and have beer, they do have a full bar there as well. And then the food, like we mentioned last week, is just absolutely incredible. So, Chuck, if somebody said, I want what the owner loves, so what are your favorites on your menu?
As food wise, I love our Reuben. I love our burgers. I like. Look, I helped develop the menu, so I've got to like everything. And if I have to say that because it's kind of in my hands. But uh, no, my chef does a great job. Our salads are good. Our smoked meats, since we do all that on site. Our chicken wings are fabulous. They're smoked with. We try to use grapevine wood when we have it, and we do our own pulled pork and our briskets, and our trout board's amazing. It's and a trout. We have an incredible trout sandwich also. So
Oh, that I didn't know. I know I've had your trout board, and I know Sarah signed on last week. I remember her saying, "Oh my gosh, the trout board sounds amazing."
it's delicious. It really is. It's perfectly made. We have our own dipping sauce that we've made with the capers and all that stuff, and with the red onions, and it's good.
Well, and you have a couple different boards too, don't you, with regards to just your charcuterie boards?
We have our farmer's board,
Yep.
which is loaded, and it's got several different meats, a few cheeses, other things, some fresh jams that we make, our mustard that we make, and then our cheese border is local cheeses, and we sell a lot of those too. We're working on our menu for the spring currently and adding a few things, and we go through the numbers and see if there's something that doesn't move, and everything moves pretty well. So it's kind of hard to take something off.
Exactly. You just keep loading and loading. The boards are some of my absolute favorites. That's what I always enjoy. But you just mentioned there is a lot. So you have to figure, if you're going to try to have lunch also, you better have a group of people, because that in itself would be your lunch.
It is your lunch. The board is, it feeds 2 people extremely well.
Yes.
We don't skip on our serving here. I mean, we do we give you what you get you pay for. I mean, it's we load people up. I mean, you're at a winery, you're drinking a little wine, you're drinking a lot of water, and you need to keep things flowing. So
Yes.
um, staff does a nice job with that.
We talked about the property last week and just how absolutely beautiful it is. I don't think I've ever asked you. So when you took over Wine Country Gardens and you switched it, where did the name come from? Defiance Ridge.
Uh, well, we're on a ridge,
That's what I
and we're in Defiance. It was kind of just
Did you have like, was it a
we
collaborative effort
we
coming
had
up with it?
already picked out way before when we were working to get the deal done, and it was just kind of this is what it should be, and then the trails down below with the we have railroad tracks on our logo, and it just kind of fit perfectly.
I love it. Defiance Ridge, again, absolutely beautiful property and so many different events that you have. And we mentioned some of those that are coming up. And with the weather turning, again, hopefully we'll get more spring earlier. And according to Punxsutawney Phil, that's what's going to happen, Chuck.
It'd be nice.
If the groundhog is correct.
Are they ever? You're the weather gal. You should know.
I'm not well. I didn't do weather.
Well, but you kind of do
I
weather.
worked in the industry. Yes, yes.
I mean, for your morning drive show, you had to know the weather, right?
Yeah, we absolutely did. Exactly. And so many
Well, I
times.
watched you in the mornings, so yeah,
Huh?
I watched you in the morning.
I know you did, and I appreciate that. No, Phil was not right very often. Well, here and there, but I
We
know
hope it's
that
right this year.
I'm hoping he's right, but he hasn't picked spring early for a while now. So it would be nice to see so we can all get out and enjoy that. But as I mentioned last week, the weather was nice. This week, how has the business been with people? Because again, I think you just start thinking wineries as the weather starts picking up and it's nicer. So today, tomorrow, Saturday.
It's been probably triple what we did last week.
Wow.
Just, I mean, not a huge number because it's still February, but we've had quite a bit of tables for lunch. The weather controls it all.
Oh, it absolutely does. But I want to stress one of the things you see behind Chuck, which he doesn't need today, is a fireplace. There's nothing more beautiful than enjoying a gorgeous glass of wine sitting by a roaring fireplace. So people need to remember that you are open throughout the entire year. I think people always think, oh, spring, summer, fall, we'll go to the wineries and they probably shut down. You do not shut down.
We do not shut down. We
What
shut down on Thanksgiving and we shut down on New Year's Eve and Christmas Day, and we're actually open on New Year's. So
you're open on New Year's Eve?
New Year's Day.
Oh, New Year's. Oh my.
We found that the afternoon actually we get decent business. People want something to do, and so it's
Interesting.
a little bitty niche.
They don't resolve to not stop drinking on January 1st.
Well, a lot of people this day and time are in bed by that time. So
This is true. This is true. So let's talk about some events that you have coming up. One of which I know you're super excited about. Did Ruby Leigh's father approach you, or did you approach them, or how did this all come about that Ruby is going to be performing at Defiance Ridge?
well, my wife knows a owner of a restaurant in Marthasville, Cora's, and Cora Ruby had played for Cora years in the past, and she mentioned to Michelle, "Hey, why don't you see if you can't get her booked?" She said, "We can't do it." I mean, and so I got in contact with them, and we worked out a deal, and
I'm
very happy about it. Tickets are moving pretty well, and I think we have 700 tickets that are for the event, and we're every day we're getting a few more. So
Well, I've had a handful of people just this week that have reached out to me and said, "We just purchased our tickets. We just purchased our tickets." I'm like, "Great, you're going to have a wonderful time." So 4 p.m. doors open. There's going to be a band before you haven't made an announcement on who that is yet.
we're just signing the contract today, so I want to make sure that's all done,
Sure.
but we do have a band before.
Okay, you'll have to let me know who that is. And then Ruby will take the stage 7:30. We'll bring Ruby on. We'll be out there with you. So I'd love to meet you. Make sure you come up and say hi. We'll do a little tasting together. And then we'll go on stage before Ruby, 7:30 to 9. And then you talked last week about how great your fireworks are.
They're fantastic. I mean, it'd be nearly probably close to a 20-minute show. We get a lot of folks love them, and we do quite a bit of them. So got a good team that does it.
All right, and we said 700 people can fit around that. Enjoy her music. She is extremely talented. If you haven't heard her, she was the runner-up on The Voice. I actually said last week, I think it's a good thing, Chuck, that she didn't win, because now she can go and enjoy. Her dad can get her booked all over the place and not have to sit back and wait, because I think probably the guy who won has to sit back for a little bit. Management has to take over. They control everything for years,
Yes.
years, which is crazy. But yeah, I'm enjoying that. What other things are you doing with the property? You just told me before we went on that you have 2 new swans coming.
Oh yes, they're ready to be picked up. We've got to put a construction fence around the lake for a few weeks to once we bring them in, just so they can get used to things. They will their wings will be clipped, male and female. Hopefully, we'll have them here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, for those who have never been out, tell them about your property, because a lot of people may have come in if they went to the old wine country gardens and they saw the flowers and everything, and then went over and may have never actually driven around the property, which I hadn't. I always come in and just park and then come into the winery. But the only time I ever did, and I'm glad I did, was when you guys are the point for the Christmas parade,
We
where
are
right, and that's where all the cars
yes.
were.
We're the point for that, and the St. Patrick's Parade, which is coming up on the 16th of March for
Oh,
the
that I didn't know. So
yeah.
you're the beginning and end point of that, or just the beginning
Do
point?
that also, and this would be, I think, the third year of the St. Patrick's Parade,
Oh,
third or fourth.
well, how did I miss
The
that one? I got to
Science
come up.
Merchants Association puts it on, and it's a nice, fun time.
And then you also have. We were talking about the cellar dinner. We were talking about Valentine's. All these events. There's just, again, people can check out your website for all of the calendar of events of things that are coming up. But if people want to come out there and spend Valentine's with you, do you still have some tickets available?
We do have some tickets available. We're filling up. It's in a week, so I would get on it. A lot of people wait till the last minute on that stuff, and you know how that goes.
This I do. And we talked also how you're doing trivia every Friday. So trivia fans, heads up that you might get a chance to go and enjoy some different trivia and enjoy some good food. Do they order the food and drinks from you? I know some people go to trivia and they bring in their own stuff, but
Uh, they have to order from here.
okay.
It's just legality through the health department.
Yeah.
But no, we do well with those things, and I think we probably average 250, 300 people per event.
And
So
you had mentioned when we came last week that you had just been coming off of a Taylor Swift trivia night. What
yeah.
did you have? What did you have last Friday?
Uh, again, I should have looked. So I can tell you.
What do you have? Do you know what you have coming up?
I think it's an '80s event this week.
Oh,
It's
that'll be good.
I think it's a music event this week.
All
Uh,
right, everybody.
I
Once
promise
again,
to have that next week.
no. Don't worry about it. You're so busy with all the day-to-day things that are happening at Defiance Ridge. So if you have not been out there, tell them where you're located. And again, the big events coming up. We're talking about Valentine's. We're talking about great bands that are out there. Beautiful weather. May is always really great in wineries, and then in the fall as well. So give them your address and your web address and your regular address.
Okay, so we're defianceridge.com, 2711 South Highway 94, just before you get into Defiance, white structure on top of the hill. And we're only 7.5 miles from 6494 exit. It's a beautiful drive. We have a lot of stuff going on. Valentine's for sure, and we're open Thursday nights. Is our one night to be open, and then we have the Friday nights with all the trivia, and that will last until end of March, I believe, early April. And this year, Easter is at the end of March, so that's coming up too.
Yeah, do you have a lot of people that come out for Mother's Day as well, like brunch?
It's busy days. We do reservation onlys for those days, and they usually fill up pretty quickly.
So a lot of great things coming up, and I want you to think, because when you're always trying to think of something unique and something different to do with moms, with couples, here you go. If you've never been before, just wanted to introduce you to Defiance Ridge Vineyards, our newest sponsor, as part of Wet Your Whistle Wednesday. One more time, this is the wine we featured today. It is the 2020 Cabernet Sauvignon. It is fantastic, and as Chuck had mentioned, open it up maybe a couple of hours before if you're getting ready to have people over. Next week, Chuck, we are going to feature a white. You were just mentioning how much you enjoy your white. So let me show this one. This will be next week's feature. So this is the 2022 Chardonnay Parson House. Tell us a little bit about that before next week.
Well, Chardonnay is a crossbred between Sauvignon Blanc and Chardonnay, and it's very obscure in the state this day and time. It's very hard to grow. Usually, it gets funguses, and it's hard to keep up with. So it's tough to find Chardonnay grapes. We get them every couple years, and we try to get enough to last the vintage the last 2 years. It's a beautiful wine. It's very minerally, and it's another fantastic food wine.
What would we pair with this so I can get ready for next week? What would you suggest I
Oh,
have?
I would certainly think white chicken and again a whiter fish.
A real
It's
delicate light
it's
fish?
aged a little bit on oak. We keep it on oak for just a few months, so it's going to have flavors that work with mostly white fish or white meats.
Okay, and then anything else that you're adding to the property that you're excited about for 2024?
Well, we just added on to the winery building, and we're just finishing up uh, they're installing the electric and the heating stuff this week, and so we'll have twice the space up there. That will be great for Tom. It's a very small building. Now that's been the big add-on since the fall.
Well, the property is stunning. Again, I want you to think of them, and it's really easy, at least for those of you that are coming from that 6440 area as you get off 94, because it's the first ones that you're coming up to. And yes, they do, if you want to get a group, they do allow buses to come in, limousines to come in. Great property, as I mentioned, just kind of come up and wrap around, get out by the water, see the lake, and see the new swans that are coming in.
A lot of parking area.
Yeah, you do. Yes, you do. Well,
And you
Chuck,
don't have to walk up hills. It's right there. So it's great.
yes. And for those of you that are active and you like to get on the Katy Trail, you can bike and come over there as well. I'm sure you have a lot of people to do that.
We do.
Motorcycles also. Watch for the motorcycles, please, everybody, because there's a lot that come out on 94.
Yeah, that's another game. So
Yeah.
we have them. We do have a few. Most of them are out for food and very cautious on what they're doing. I
Yep.
have a lot of friends of mine come out on motorcycles, so um,
Well,
it's they're good paid folks to have.
absolutely. And we just always want to have those cars that are on their, texting on their phone. Please watch out. Just be aware of everybody. But
You
that's
can
one of the
do
things,
that out here.
huh?
You can't do that out here.
No, gosh, no. Those windy roads. Chuck, Jim, and I have been talking about wanting to bring the Harley out. We still have never, because it's such a far drive just to get out from here to there. We've talked about, we've talked about wanting to go on the roads, but it's so beautiful out there. If you have not been, or if you haven't been in a while, this is a reintroduction for you. So
It's
Defiance,
a gorgeous area.
huh?
It's a gorgeous area.
It's a beautiful area. Yes, we are blessed to have all the incredible wineries and the passion that you're seeing in this owner. So once again, 2020 Defiance Ridge Vineyards Cabernet Sauvignon. That's been this week's, and next week we will feature Parson House, the 2022 Chardonnay. My friend, thank you so much. Great
Cheers,
visiting
Dan.
with you. Yep, cheers to you. And I'm going to put it in the Pinot glass and see how different it changes. You all can do the same. We'll see you next week. Be sure
Thank
to
you,
grab
Mike.
your favorite as well and join us as we pop the cork for Wet Your Whistle Wednesday. Cheers, my
Thank you.
friend.
Cheers.